Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 7, Episode 7, It's Given Scandal. So we open up the episode exactly where we left off with Gary and Tamara in this whole lip lock contest when he pulls away from her and tells her he likes bad girls. So these two now they're standing there all hot and bothered when Hayden finally comes from the back after taking Penelope to the restroom. And mind you, we never see Penelope. So we don't know what happened with her. Is she okay? Was she having contractions? Did a water break? I don't know. We don't know. And Gary didn't give a damn. He didn't holler out, Penelope, you good? He didn't say, let me go check on my baby. Let me go check on my fiance. None of that. But, you know, it's Gary. He's trash. So I guess, should we be surprised? No, we shouldn't. So Hayden, he interrupts with, I have this idea. So these two forgot that their significant others were just in the next room. So now they're trying to frantically get themselves together, wiping their mouth off, fixing their clothes up. And Hayden was like, well, is everything good? Everything okay? And Gary plays it off with, you said you had this idea, trying to deflect, making sure that Hayden didn't pick up on anything. And he didn't. He was just as clueless. All Hayden wanted to talk about was the reasons why he was a shoe-in to make partner. And Gary told him he felt like he still needed a big client on his resume to make it look good. And Hayden mentioned again that Andy was the only thing standing in his way. So Tamara, she gets up and take the dishes to the kitchen, trying to act like she all shy or whatever because Hayden hit her on the butt. And Gary looking like, child, please. He like, oh, so she's all domesticated and reserved, right? Knowing in the back of his head, she just had her tongue down my throat. So Hayden was trying to dap him up, excited, talking about they're going to be vacationing soon together. And Gary told him, look, I think you should pump your brakes, basically trying to tell Hayden, do not trust Tamara. And then he has the audacity to tell Hayden this old quote talking about when mistrust comes in, the love and the sex goes out and usually to someone else. So Hayden agreed with him and said, that's facts. Good looking out. And Gary was like, you know, I got you always. And he was like, yeah, you're my guy. Gary's the guy. And he daps him up and Gary's looking at him like, dude, if you only knew. And I felt like the writers were making Hayden's character seem like he was slow, like he was boo-boo the fool. And we know that Hayden is very smart and very observant. Like he picks up on everything any other time, but not this time. So later on, we see Hayden and Tamara cleaning up after dinner, and she wanted to know what Hayden thought about the evening. So he was saying that he thought that Penelope and Gary's relationship was hella fake because they use all these excessive pet names and he finds Gary to be the most selfish person he knows, and he doesn't think that Penelope is no saint in the situation. And it was the irony of it all for me. But then Tamara, she tries to throw this little seed of doubt into Hayden about Gary, asking, does he really trust him? And he was like, well, yeah, I do trust him. He says he know he's been into some stuff before, but he's been that way since college. Now, we all know these two did not meet in college. I'm not sure why they're trying to move the goalpost when it comes to these two because they do not go way back. He did a favor for Fatima because of Andy to help get Gary's raggedy behind out of jail. That's what happened. So Tamara, she kept trying to talk down on Gary, but Hayden, he wasn't having it. He said he just wanted to focus on her. So the two of them start kissing, and the whole time, Tamara is fantasizing that she's kissing Gary instead of her man. So we see Rich and Sabrina enjoying each other's company on a dinner date while celebrating her birthday. So Rich says he's stuffed, he can't eat another bite. What about her? She claims she can't put anything else in her mouth. Rich says, oh, are you sure about that? I said, ooh, Rich over there trying to get swallowed up. I said, Sabrina girl. So they both tell each other how they feel about the other one, and Rich lets her know, look, it's your energy, it's your kindness, it's the way you support me. It makes him feel like the luckiest man in the world. So he hands her a gift like, here you go, baby. And she's like, you didn't have to get me anything. And he was like, of course I did. I'm your man. I'm like, oh my God. I love the way he claims her. Like she does not have to wonder where their relationship stands or how he feels about her. I love that. So, you know, she's trying to see what's in the box. She opens it up and it's a charm bracelet inscripted with a little message from him, like from Rich with love. So he tells her that he thought it was time that he made his debut on her wrist. And she was looking a little down or whatever. He was like, what, you don't like it? I'll go get you something else if you want. She was like, no, I love it. I feel like Sabrina may just be falling for Rich. She's realizing that he is a good man for her, but she's conflicted. Now she's in her feelings because she already knows. So he's asking her, like, talk to me, what's up? So she then tells him that she's getting ready to start the process to have her eggs frozen, but she feels like she's doing it all by herself. He tells her, look, I haven't gone anywhere, I'm still here. But she reiterates to him that you don't want kids. So Rich, he stood on business and said, no, I don't. But that shouldn't stop you from freezing your eggs. And Sabrina was like, well, if we give this thing a try and it works out, what am I supposed to do with the eggs? And he pretty much just wanted to cross that bridge when they get to it. And Sabrina was like, no, that would be like setting herself up. And she was like, well, if I decide to have this child on my own, are you going to leave? And she was like, what am I supposed to tell my child? Like, my boyfriend doesn't want to have anything to do with you. So she started asking him a few other questions, but we didn't get any answers because the waiter comes out singing happy birthday, asking how old she was. And then he read the room and saw that their energy was off, and he sat the cupcake down and left. And the two of them just kind of toasted to whatever because the mood had totally changed. Now, Sabrina, girl, you're going to have to break this thing off with Rich. We can't keep discussing this every episode. We already know what time it is. Go ahead, freeze your eggs, do what you got to do for yourself, but break up with this man. But I know you was trying to be slick and get your little birthday gift, but I ain't mad at you. I ain't even mad at you. But after this particular dinner date here, you have to break it off. Now, my prediction is once you leave Rich alone and time has passed, he's going to realize that you are his diamond in the rough, someone that you don't meet twice. Shout out to Jaheim. And I think he is going to be missing her so much, realizing that he is actually in love with her and don't want to live without her. So he is going to be willing to remarry and give her the kids that she wants. That's just my prediction. And just wishful thinking, but you two have to break up, like right now. So we go over there to the law firm and we see Andy come strutting in like, she don't have a care in the world, when the receptionist runs up to her asking her, was she okay? And Andy's looking at her like, well, why wouldn't I be? And then here comes Hayden antagonizing her, calling her Olivia Pope. Andy basically just ignored him and walked off. So when Fatima saw Andy, she damn near broke her neck trying to get to her. So when she gets in her office, she's basically telling her, Jordan's on the news. And Andy's like, yeah, of course he is. His opponent just dropped out. And Fatima is looking at her like, girl, clearly you have no idea what's going on because that is not what's tea. So she gives Andy her phone to read so she can see what's all over the internet about Jordan. So she reads that Jordan is being accused of having a relationship with an underage female. And we all know that this is the scheme that Gary and Hudson put together to set Jordan up. So Fatima is telling Andy that everybody in the office knows what's going on and she's surprised that she doesn't know. So then we learn that she left her phone at Jordan's house, ran out of there because he started talking about love. I'm like, girl, please. I would have turned around so fast, like, let me get my phone, sir, please, and thank you. So then Fatima started going on and on, asking like 21 questions, annoying the hell out of Andy. Did you realize this? Did you know that? Does he act a certain kind of way when y'all watching this? And I'm like, girl, what are you talking about, Fatima? So Andy was like, look, we only been together like 4 months. I really don't know. We haven't even gotten that far yet. And I'm like, 4 months. So we've jumped a month since episode 1. Okay, noted. So after putting all those thoughts in her head, Fatima tells Andy, try not to think about it, which is going to be hard to do, and told her to stay off the blogs, which she doesn't have her phone anyway, so that should be easy, and told her she's here for her if she needs her. So we go over there to the salon, and Karen, she comes strolling in, and she sees Pam working on her Roots to Riches stuff, and she tells her that it's a conflict of interest, and Pam was like, well, look, your books are light. Like, there's nothing going on in here. What I'm supposed to do, stare into open space? So basically, we're learning that Karen is not making any kind of profits in her new salon. So Pam was like, forget all that. Have you heard about your friend's new man, Jordan? Like, he's some kind of predator, killer, something, girl. Like, I sent you the DM. It's all over the blogs. And Karen's like, what? So she started reading what Pam was talking about. She gets on the phone to try to call Andy. But of course, she does not answer her phone because she left it over there with Jordan like a damn fool. So we go over there to the airport where we see Tony storming up to Danny's desk because apparently he's been calling her nonstop and she's been ignoring his phone calls. So he's telling her, is this the only place I can talk to you? I just want to talk like grown adults. So Danny was like, well, grown adults are honest. And I'm like, Danny, don't start that because you've been talking to this man for over 3 months and apparently you knew he had kids. So I'm still not understanding what the problem is. So this girl fixes her mouth to say, yes, you told me about the kids, but you never said that you could have full custody at any given moment. Like what, Danny? What are you talking about? Are you okay or do you need to go make a phone call to Cretia? Because like I said before, something could happen to those kids' mom today or tomorrow. They're going to have to live with their dad. I don't understand. You expect him not to ever see his kids? So Tony told her he just found out because his ex-wife is in the military and now she's being deployed. And he told her he'll keep the kids until she comes back. So Danny over there talking about this messed up how she found out and that he didn't talk to her about anything. First of all, Danny, listen, the man already told you he was going to tell you, but you didn't come to work. Okay, you called in. Now, why does he really have to tell you anything? Could he have mentioned it when it first happened? Yeah, he could have mentioned it, but you're acting like the two of you are married and you live together and you were going to have to make arrangements to make sure the kids had proper accommodations or something. You are not being inconvenienced in any kind of way in this particular situation. So I'm not understanding why did you need to know so bad to where you are so upset about it? It's not hindering you in any kind of way. As far as the two of you spending time, y'all hunching on the job anyway, which you shouldn't even be doing. And then you got mad because of how the kids saw you in the office trying to have sex with their dad at work, which that is your fault once again because you didn't lock the door. So I don't know what to tell you, Danny. So Tony told her, look, you knew what it was when you signed up. So she told him unsubscribe. He then told her, look, you're being very insensitive. Just give me a moment. I apologize. I could have told you sooner. And, she's still being kind of dismissive of him, whatever. He says, look, my kids are here to stay. You either deal with it or you move on. I know that's right, Tony. Your kids should absolutely come before anybody. And Danny, you are going to have to grow the hell up. So we go over there to the bank and we see Sabrina and pestering Paige. And Sabrina's minding her own business, trying to work. And Paige, being the little gnat that she is, she tells Sabrina that she has too much money in her drawer. And that the policy is you can't have more than $20,000 behind the counter. Sabrina lets her know, look, I know how much I have in there. And she says, well, I think you should recount it. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Who do you think you are, Paige? So then I ask a question. So since Andy said that another month has passed, who got the promotion for the manager? Because it shouldn't take that long to make a decision, right? Because Paige clearly is acting like she got it, but I don't know. So Sabrina was like, I tell you what, how about you recount it? Because I'm getting ready to take me an early lunch and I have a very important phone call to make. And Paige says, well, I'm used to double checking your work anyway. I'm like, oh, hell no, Paige has to go. So Sabrina was unbothered. She told her, let me know what you find. And I'm like, Sabrina, why would you let this girl count your money unattended? Like Maurice told you, she may just try to set you up. So Sabrina, she goes into her office to get on a Zoom call with Dr. Moore. And, she basically just gives her the rundown on the process. So Dr. Moore asked her, did she want to preserve her eggs and embryos? Because that way she would have a better chance in getting pregnant. But she would need sperm to do that. So she said she noticed she was listed single. Of course, she gave her the rundown about Rich not wanting kids. So they suggested the sperm bank, and Sabrina said she had already researched that, so she was cool with that. So the doctor let her know, look, we'll do some testing on you, make sure you don't have fibroids or cysts, and we can start the fertility shots. Sabrina, I guess she seemed a bit overwhelmed, and Dr. Moore basically just reassured her she would be fine. So we go back over there to the law firm, and Fatima goes into Andy's office to check on her, and she's reading the headline about Jordan again, and she can't believe it. So then she asks Fatima, did she know that the girl was white? And I'm trying to figure out, what does that have to do with anything? So the two of them are questioning the validity of the accusation, and Fatima told Andy to just wait before she outright makes that decision that he's guilty. So Andy, she starts getting emotional, saying she's tired of waiting and how she's worked so hard. And Fatima basically told her, just shut the computer down, take a breath, just try to focus on other things because she knows that it's a lot. So the receptionist comes in, tells Andy that Jordan has called her like 11 times. And Fatima was like, can you just hold her calls as we discussed already? And then the receptionist told Fatima, you have a guest, but walked out when, when Fatima asked her, who was it? Well, it didn't take long to find out because Zach all up and through the law firm yelling and screaming, where my baby at? Fatima! I'm like, oh my God, I cannot stand when Zach comes to this law firm. I can't. Now, I let him slide when he was coming for the custody for Michael because he was in and out, handling business, and he was gone. No problem, fine, good. But when he just randomly pops up, it irks my damn nerve. So Fatima, she goes over there to her office, and she's like, Zach, what are you doing here? And he's like, damn, that's what I get? And I'm like, yeah, because what you want? So she's trying to tell him it's been a long day, so he hands her these roses, and she's like, well, what are these for? What do you want? You must want something. He was like, dang, I can't just want to surprise you to see this smile. And the last episode, I say, what has Zach done for Fatima lately, right? So then he comes this episode, and he actually found her acceptance letter into law school and actually had it framed, which I thought was a very sweet gesture. It was really nice of him to do that. But I felt like the way you came up in this law firm just kind of negated that whole kind act for me. I don't know. It just did. I felt like it would have been better had he waited till she got home, put her desk back in order the way she had it and fixed it all up nice and neat and, you know, with a few little yang things here and there, and had the framed letter then placed somewhere where she can see it with the roses and a nice little candlelit dinner. That would have been great. That would have been perfect. But you all up at the job hollering and screaming, and she's trying to tell you she had a long day, and then you turn around and trying to hunch her on the job. So the bottom line was he was letting her know that he supports her, that he's proud of her. He's with her every step of the way, through the long nights, all of that. And, you know, she was worried about telling him, so now she doesn't have to. So that's one less thing she has to worry about. And he told her when she passes the bar, he's going to build her own firm because she deserves it. And I'm like, now, see, I like that. That's what I want to hear. Now, keep in mind, when you get into the thick of things with this whole taking care of Michael, her doing the long nights, and now your needs aren't being met and you're seeing less and less and less of her, don't renege on this support. So then they brought up marriage, and Fatima basically dismissed that once again. And while they were playing around, Andy, she storms in there emotional and was like, I'm leaving. I'm going to break up with Jordan. And then she just storms off, and Zach acting like he all entitled, like Andy was supposed to speak to him or something. But clearly he can tell the lady was distraught. But, I mean, Fatima had to tell him, like, look, this is not the time. So we see Andy going to her car in the parking garage, and Jordan, he jumps out his car to catch her. And he's like, I've been trying to get in contact with you all day. And she's like, oh, so you just pop up to my job? And he says, I was trying to bring you your phone. And she snatched the phone out the man's hand. I'm like, Andy, that was really rude. That was extremely rude. So she asked him, was the allegations true? And he was like, no, they're not true. So Jordan is trying to tell Andy that his PR team is handling everything, that the girl does not have any proof on him about anything because he's never met her a day in his life. So Jordan is trying to tell her that he is innocent. She has to believe him. And she's telling him she's embarrassed. Everybody on her job is looking and staring and whispering, and she's trying to make partner. So we go back over there to the airport, and Danny goes into Tony's office, and he looks at her and was quite dismissive, like, can I help you, Daniela? And she's like, yeah, you can start by not treating me like one of these little employees. And quiet as it's kept, Danny, you are one of the little employees. And my question is, are you and Tony supposed to even be dating? So Tony didn't crack a smile. He really didn't have it to do. He basically told her, look, I got a lot on my plate, and I don't feel like defending my kids again. So Danny was like, I'm not asking you to defend them. So she basically comes in and says that she was being a little insensitive. She's trying to apologize. And she says she's just never dated a guy with kids before. And she basically didn't like how they met her. So I guess she was pretty much embarrassed by that. In this scene, Danny showed us what therapy is doing for her. She said she had time to think about and process the whole situation. And she says to him, when she committed to him, she committed to all of him, which includes his kids. And that it was nice to see a man that was dedicated to his kids. But all she asks for is some communication to kind of include her in on some of the conversations. She also let him know that she is committed to support him any way that she can, and she wants to be a supportive girlfriend. So then he teases her about being a stepmom, and she basically tells him we got to take baby steps, little steps, all of that. So we go back over there to the bank, and we see Karen coming to see Sabrina, and Sabrina asked her, did Paige give her a hard time? And she was like, no, not really, but she did ask me, was I a personal friend of yours? And I'm like, why, Paige? Why do you want to know? So Sabrina was like, do you see what I have to deal with? And Karen tells her that she can always fire her once she becomes manager. So that basically answered my question from earlier that the decision has yet to be made. So Sabrina asked Karen, did she still want to do the personal loan? And she was like, yes, because she's drowning over at the salon. So, she starts the application, gets her ID and all of that while she's typing all of that up. So Karen, she starts talking about all kind of stuff about the salon, the equipment, how much it costs, how she's lost a stylist, how Pam is not pulling her weight, about the property taxes, how the baby has her certain kind of ways, her back is hurting, just everything coming down on her. So Sabrina was like, it sounds like that's a lot of stress. So Sabrina, she brings up Andy, and Karen says she tried to call her but got no answer. So they decided that they were going to go to Andy's house later on for a girls' night, basically to go check on her. So Sabrina, her mood changes, and she has to tell Karen that they did not approve her for the loan. She was denied. And Karen had to laugh to keep from crying, and Sabrina felt bad, and she was like, look, Andy gave me a check for my birthday. You can have it. I'll give it to you. And Karen was like, no, you keep your check. I'm good. So Sabrina was like, that's what we're here for. We're supposed to help each other out. And Karen tells her, I'll see you later on tonight. Don't worry about me. I'll figure it out. So Sabrina, she then gets a phone call from Maurice, and she puts him on speakerphone. And I'm like, Maurice is not the speakerphone type of person, because he's liable to say anything out of his mouth. And Paige out there listening. So he tells her he called to be nosy because he wanted to know how her appointment went with the egg doctor. And she basically, quickly told him about freezing the eggs and the embryos. So he asked her about if them kids rich. And she didn't want to talk about it because it was going to stress her out. So she brought up Grayson, and he went on and on how much he loved him some Grayson. He got a little call from one of his little clientels, and he basically hung up on her. He had to go. So while Maurice is talking to his client, he's saying all kind of stuff like, hell no, I'm not going to marry you. I'm through with love. What's love got to do with it? Love should have brought you home last night. So he looks up, and Grayson done walked in his house. Didn't knock, didn't alert him like, hello, anybody here type thing. None of that. So Maurice was like, what are you doing here? So he said he showed up early because he wanted to surprise him with some jazz tickets. So Maurice asked him, did he have a key? And he said, no, the door was cracked. So he just saw his way in. And I'm like, you need to see your way out because you still need to be knocking. But I see this is some type of running theme because lately, every time, well, it's really Sabrina, but every time someone comes to his house, his door seems to magically just be open. So I'm wondering, is this supposed to be some type of foreshadowing for one of these little stalking behind clients that he's talking to online that may just be able to get in? So Grayson asked Maurice, does he even want a relationship, because he overheard him talking to the client saying he didn't want a boyfriend or a husband. So Maurice was like, look, that's my client. I tell them anything. And Grayson's thing was, you sounded real adamant about what you don't want. And Maurice had to tell him again, look, that is my client. That's just part of my job. I tell them whatever. So Maurice was like, I'm getting ready to go take a shower so I can get ready for this jazz date. So Grayson was like, look, I'm going to go ahead and take a rain check. You go ahead and finish your little session. And he gave him a little stank face look and walked the hell up out of there. And Maurice was over there like, little session, like, you better not walk out on me. Grayson was gone. So we go over there to Hayden's house, and we got Tamara on the couch, and Hayden's in the bathroom, and they're yelling back and forth talking, and he's talking about Andy. So she's on her phone, and she gets this phone call, and the person is like, I can't stop thinking about your lips, and I'm not talking about the ones on your face. And she was like, who is this? And he was like, you don't recognize my voice? Maybe you'll recognize my tongue. And she's like, well, how did you get my number? And he says, don't worry about it. We know that it's Gary. So he tells her when she's effing Hayden to think about his fat thing sliding up in her. So now she done got all hot and bothered and turned on. So Hayden, he comes out the bathroom wrapped in a towel trying to show off his new abs. And he asks her who she was talking to. She lied and said that it was Bam. But now she hot and ready. She pulls her underwear off and tells Hayden to come over there. And he was like, oh, so it's like that? So basically, he made it do what it do. So we go over there to the penthouse and we got all the ladies there trying to be there for Andy. And Danny, she brings up the whole Jordan thing and asks her, is she going to stick beside him? And she's like, how do you think that'll make me look? And Sabrina chimes in, which she can't believe that that's what he's being charged with. And she says just talking about it is making her feel sick. So Karen says, don't you think you should have a conversation with him first? And she tells Karen, why, I don't know, that Fatima told her the same thing. Like, really, Andy? So Sabrina, she tries to change the subject, talking about she has some news. And Danny was like, we know you're freezing your eggs. So she also adds that she's freezing her embryos. And they're like, well, how are you going to do it? And she tells them about the sperm bank. And Danny was like, girl, you could be having some psycho killer's baby. Sabrina had to let her know that these people are vetted and you get to see their profiles or whatever. So Karen and Andy said that they support it, but Danny said no, she has to see a lineup before she can give her stamp of approval. So Andy gets a phone call and it's Jordan, and that was Karen's cue to get up and say she was getting ready to leave. So leave it to Danny to antagonize Karen. Where you going? Don't worry about it. It's giving sneaky link. It's giving mind your damn business. I don't like your tone. Oh, well. These two here are a trip. Now, we know that Karen has absolutely nowhere to go, but I'm assuming when Andy said what Fatima said, that put a battery in her back to go and be petty. So Andy, she goes to take Jordan's call, and she tells him that the girls are over, but he wants to come when they leave. She was like, just tell me what you got to say right now. He says, please, I need you to stick beside me through these accusations. She starts to give that you're a great guy speech. And he's like, I know you're not going to break up with me over these false allegations. Look, I went down to the police station. I told him everything I needed to know, which wasn't much because I don't even know the girl. So she asked him, did he have an attorney present? And he said no, because like he said before, he doesn't know the girl, so he's not thinking much of it. So while they're going back and forth about that, Danny and Sabrina got their belongings and they left. So Andy tells Jordan that she's being rude to the girls, that she gotta go, and can she just talk to him tomorrow, and basically just hung up in his face. So then we see Karen going to Zach and Fatima's house. She goes, knocks on the door, knocking like she the police. Zach answers like, what's up? She tells him, look, we got the DNA test for tomorrow. You happy now? He was like, yeah, I'm ready to move forward, but you could have called me. So she tells him she wanted to tell him in person because we know she wanted to be petty, like I said. So he says, well, what's the process? So she tells him in some slick way, trying to make him feel bad because, yeah, you're just going to get some little saliva done, but I got to go through this drawn out process where I get needles stuck in me, all because you got people in your ear wanting me to get this test done. So whatever. So she basically tells him what time he needs to be there. And at first he makes it seem like he wasn't going to be able to make it, but he was like, no, I'll be there. So she tells him, don't bring Fatima. So of course, Fatima comes to the door. So Zach tries to tell her to go back inside. He got this. And Fatima was like, I heard my name. And she almost woke Michael up. So we know now they actually have custody of Michael. So then we get the whole back and forth about don't come to my appointment. Fatima's like, who's going to stop me? Karen end up calling her out a name once again. And Fatima told her, I got you, B. And, basically Karen left, and that's where the episode ends. There has to be a turning point with this whole Zach, Karen, and Fatima situation because we're just going in circles at this point. Like next week's trailer, it gets no better from the looks of it. So this episode here was written by Kourtney Richard. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts were about this particular episode. And as always, you guys, thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.